This week, could you have been robbed of a commercial flying career? We go drag racing with the Terrafugia, sort of, and don't fly ultralights if you plan to smuggle dope. It's a bit quiet on the new aircraft front this week, so we're going to start off with this again. It's the Terrafugia Transition R, and we had an email from the company last week saying we did pretty well reporting on their aircraft, but we got one bit slightly wrong. I know, shocking. We said this would happen if you put a Terrafugia up against a couple of spotty kids in their Subaru Impreza. Well, according to the guys at Terrafugia, it would be more like this. In fact, because the aircraft is so light, they say in theory you could spin the wheels for 20 seconds before it would finally start moving. Now that's not bad for a 100 horsepower engine. It seems bizjet flying isn't just for commercial pilots, but also for owners. Embraer have just passed their first graduates of their training scheme for the Phenom 100. A lot of training is done in sims, one of which is in the United Kingdom and the other is in the States. It'll do Mach 0.7 and costs around $3 million US. Last week we asked you what you thought of the Cessna Skycatcher. Are you excited or not? You said no. We'll just have to see what it looks like when it comes out at the end of next year. Now how about flying one of these here? The Maldives in the Indian Ocean, crystal clear waters, beautiful beaches, not a cold, crowded international airport in sight. Well, the Maldivian air taxi service needs two new 400 series twin Otters. The new model has about 200 modifications, a range of just under 800 nautical miles and a cruise with floats of around 140 to 150 knots. In fact, as far as outback aircraft go, this is pretty good. Not only does it like sunshine, beaches and bikinis, but also the cold. The British Antarctic Survey use it and NASA use it for extreme ice testing. By the way, Maldivian do have a job section of their website if you're bored of sector after sector of regional flying. A quick roundup of a few stories and our tip for the week here at fullflap.tv. Don't fly ultralights with bags of dope hanging off them. One hapless drug trafficker tried to do that, carrying a staggering 141 pounds of marijuana into Arizona. That's 63 kilos. Did he check the weight and balance chart? I think not. And yes, he crashed. And welcome to another website. Michael emailed us from Belgium about his blog and how he'd embedded fullflap.tv on the site. He's got some great stories about European flying and some pretty good pictures too. Check him out at belflyer.net. Now, could you have been robbed from a commercial flying career?
It's a problem that can't be cured. If you've got it, you're almost certainly born with it. It may not stop you flying, but it could affect your whole life.
When I was at school, I was tested for colour blindness, found to be red-green deficient, and I'm not alone.
Of the roughly 3.3 billion males on the planet, about 7% of them have the problem. It affects a much smaller number of women.
So if you do suffer, you won't be able to tell the difference between subtle shades of red and green, which means that you won't be able to experience scenes like this in the same way as 93% of the world's male population.
For many, they'll only discover they even have a problem when they go for their first aviation medical or a thorough eye check.
And they'll get a restriction which says, no night flying. In the swipe of a pen, that'll be the end of their commercial airline career.
You might say, so what if people are colourblind? Well, here's a plane. Red always goes on the left and green on the right. So if it's doing this, you know you're in trouble. If it's doing this, it's okay. So it's really important. But to colourblind people, they look the same, and that's a problem. Because if you can't see which way the other plane is going, it could end up with you having, well, a bad day.
The vast majority of colourblind people can easily tell the difference between, say, blue and green. So what idiot back in the history of aviation decided that the two most important colours on an aircraft at night should be the two colours we can't see? Single-handedly, they are to blame for putting restrictions on 2.3 million potential pilots.
These are Ishihara tests, and you've probably seen them before, and you're meant to be able to see numbers in them. Could be 77 or 22. Did anyone put any numbers in these?
There are numbers there.
You sure? No, nothing.
Okay, thank you.
So I failed. That means I will never fly at night. But is that it? The optician told me it wasn't over yet. But before she tried anything else, it was decided I should have my eyes checked properly for any other problems that could actually be even more serious. The first test would involve looking deep into my eyes. The back of the eye obviously collects the light, and so if it's damaged in any way, that would be serious. The danger was, if anything was wrong, the optician would be obliged to tell the authorities, and I could be grounded.
You can see there's no marks on that, it's a nice healthy glow.
Right.
Your optic nerve is nice and round, there's no indentations, there's no strange sort of marks on that disc. Right. And then the blood vessels that come out of it all look nice and healthy as well. They're not fine?
Good, good, good.
But it's not just the eye that sees, your brain sees too. If the nerves aren't sending signals properly, you can end up with tunnel vision, or as it's technically termed, bitemporal hemianopsia or something like that. Now you might expect that to look like this, but in fact it can be much less, enough not to notice normally. But it could be enough for you not to see another plane approaching from the side.
And randomly on this white dome some lights will flash up.
Okay.
And you'll have a little button to hold in your hand which you're going to press every time you feel you see a light.
The test works by getting you to stare ahead. When you catch sight of a dot out of the corner of your eye, you press a button. And no, you can't just continuously keep pressing the button. That doesn't work.
One or two left now, that's it.
Okay.
Assuming that you didn't see Bella call the authorities during that test, I must have passed, as they didn't take away my license. So what about colour vision? When I was at school, as I say, I did the colour dots test and failed. I was told I would never get my dream of being an airline pilot. The problem was, the doctor who tested me either didn't know about the other tests or didn't bother to tell me. Most aviation medical examiners should know that if you fail the Ishihara test, your flying career may not be over. Take all the tests. Many people fail one but pass the others, and if you do, you'll still be considered colour safe.
Okay, so what do we do next?
Right, so after the colour vision test, we do have another colour vision setup, which is called the lantern test.
Right.
But we can't do that immediately because we need to put you in a dark room and adapt you to the dark for about 10 minutes.
Okay. You realise your decision could change my life.
So would I pass this one? Could I have been an airline pilot all along?
Over the next few moments, this could decide what I could have done when I was 16.
Drop it and you just shout out the colours you see. You shout the top light, there'll be a double set of lights.
Yep.
You shout the top one and then the bottom one, and then my colleague will mark them on the answer sheet.
Okay.
They sit you down in a dark room and then you stare at a tiny mirror.
Oh yeah, I can see a tiny pinprick of light. It looks just like a reflection of it. It feels a bit like you're going into a test where you've got to get it right. That's red. That's green.
You only see tiny pinpricks of light. The image here is enlarged so that you can actually see
That's green.
it.
That's green. My eyes are starting to blur now. I know I messed up that colour test because there were lights there, there were sort of dots there, but at times I couldn't see them clearly, and then the more you look at them, they just start to blur a bit. But anyway, like I say, at the end of the day, I suppose if I can't see, I shouldn't be flying at night anyway, so. But it's like
The test was over. Had I
Right, Richard,
passed?
so we've got the results of your colour vision test. You did the Ishihara first of all, and you did find that quite difficult. Unfortunately, you did actually fail on quite a few of those plates there, and you do need to pass at least 9. Okay, so then we went on to do the lantern test, and you also did struggle on that one as well, I'm afraid. So unfortunately, you haven't passed either test.
So Rick, were you surprised by that?
Not really, no. I mean, I know I'm colourblind. I've always known I've been colourblind. And it was interesting, actually. I was flying back from Holland the other day at night. I wasn't flying, don't worry. But looking out the aircraft window at all the lights out there, the red and greens, and I could work out about 80% of them. But I was talking to an instructor the other day who does a lot of nighttime tuition. And it's interesting, he was saying that he knows when an aircraft's coming towards him because the lights are either getting narrower or wider. And he doesn't really look at the colours at all. So, you know, obviously I'm biased, but I don't know whether it is entirely fair the way they do it at the moment.
If you signed up to our news updates email but haven't got it, just check your junk folder for an email from Seraph Web Resources. You need to click that link to get signed up. If you deleted it, don't worry, just go back to our website and try again. That's it for this week. I'm Vicky Farah and this is FullFlap.tv Connect.